There's 6.5 lakh voters and literally 1 lakh of those don't exist. पूरा system उड़ा दिया है, चोरी हो रही है.
Is Chief Election Commissioner in trouble? Why India bloc wants to remove him? Can he be actually removed? And what is the controversy around it?
Election Commission ने महाराष्ट्र में जादू से 1 करोड़ नए वोटर पैदा कर दिए.
It is for the first time in almost a decade that the opposition is considering removal of Chief Election Commissioner. And this time, India bloc is ready to come up with a motion to impeach the present CEC, that is Gyanesh Kumar. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh and today we are going to understand this move by the opposition, why it is being done, what is the main reason, can it be actually concluded at the end where there is removal of Chief Election Commissioner, what is the constitutional provision and if it can actually become a reality. So when we talk about the present situation, political storm at hand, it comes from the Bihar SIR exercise, Special Intensive Revision of Electoral Rolls. So when we talk about our present Chief Election Commissioner, Gyanesh Kumar, he is being considered under the allegations by the opposition itself that there has been fraudulent activities regarding the voter list, and that is why the opposition, India bloc, it is considering to move a motion for the impeachment of Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar. Now, when we talk about this whole controversy, it started, the pinpoint has to be Bihar Special Intensive Revision of Electoral Rolls. Now, when it was announced in Bihar, the whole idea of the election commission was that no eligible citizen is to be left out and no ineligible person is to be included in the electoral roll. But when the electoral roll was published, many opposition leaders highlighted that their names have been missing, and we also found out that there were 65 lakh voters which were missing. After that came the verdict from Supreme Court, where Supreme Court asked the Election Commission to publish the deleted voters list so that the verification can be done. And as of now, Election Commission has published that 65 lakh voters which were deleted from the electoral roll, that list has been published. In all of this chaos, opposition has been very clear that here Election Commission is trying to work for the current party at center, and that is why this electoral roll revision is happening at such a scale in such less time, because Bihar is going to see elections by the end of the year. However, EC has also gone ahead and contradicted what opposition is saying. EC has clearly announced that opposition is trying to spread misinformation and they do not stand by this, and it was done in the recent press conference. When we talk about opposition, I have mentioned that they have been accusing of not just Election Commission being a tool by the party at the center, but Chief Election Commissioner, a constitutional post, that also has been labelled as a BJP politician. Furthermore, lack of transparency has been the main key of concern for the special intensive revision that is taken place in Bihar. And last, that there are allegations of deliberate deletions of the voter from the list to manipulate the votes for the upcoming elections in Bihar. Now, amidst all of this controversy, the real question comes is that even though whatever opposition is planning, is there any constitutional backing to it? So yes, if we talk about the constitutional provision, there is provision for removal of Chief Election Commissioner, and the impeachment can be only on the basis of proved misbehavior or any sort of incapacity. It is almost, this process of removal is same as the removal of Supreme Court judges. The impeachment basis remains the same, the process remains the same. Now let us understand that what is the process that is followed for impeachment. So this process begins with a motion that is to be introduced. It can be introduced in Lok Sabha or a Rajya Sabha, but the motion needs to be signed by minimum 50 member of parliaments. So when we are talking about Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, the introduction is done. After the introduction of this particular motion, it has to be passed by a special majority, not just in one house, but in both houses. Now, what is special majority? I'll explain special majority here, but I want you to tell me what is simple majority in the comment section. So, special majority is when there is majority of total membership in the house. So, for a very simple example, let's just say as of now, total members, for simplification, there are 100 members. If it is more than 50, that is majority, they are voting for it, then it is taken yes. But there is a second provision as well, that is the total membership. But another provision is 2/3 of members present in voting. So total membership is 100, let's just say 10 members are present and voting. So whatever is 2/3 of it, that needs to also exist. But the problem here you will see, if we are seeing 10 members present, that is definitely not giving the majority of total membership. So here we need to assure the combination of both, where there is majority of total membership. That means in case of 100, it should be more than 50, and it should also be 2/3 of majority of the people, of the members present and voting, and that needs to be repeated in both of the house. Now, when this motion will be passed by both houses, that is when the president issues the removal order once the motion has succeeded. Now, this same procedure is followed for CEC, Chief Election Commissioner as well, and Supreme Court judges as well. However, there is an addition problem that has been sparking debate, that has been the Act of 2023. So when you talk about the appointment of CEC and EC, there has been a new act in 2003 that has been a revised version from the 1960s. Now when we talk about this act, it has been highlighted by Mr. Venugopal, that is, he is an advocate at the Supreme Court and also one of the opposition leading members. When we talk about him, he has mentioned that this particular act, and it gives in between, direct provisions are not there, in between, reading the line in between provision, that CEC and election commissioners will get immunity for their present and past actions as well. That means this was given a fundamental basis in the act already. So that is another bone of contention that remains. But the actual question comes in here, even if this constitutionally backed, can it be actually executed by the opposition? So for that we have to understand that in terms of number, the India bloc does have the number to move the motion. But to get this motion to succeed seems very difficult for the India bloc, and most likely it will not succeed. However, it might be seen as more of a symbolism, making the demography aware of what is going on, to intensify the political pressure on the election commission, and definitely to also highlight that there has been some kind of vote fraud or erosion of neutrality at a place like election commission. So definitely there can be attention can be drawn to this particular concern of the opposition. It seems like that opposition will not be able to succeed in passing the motion from both the houses. There have been multiple voices from the oppositions who have been raising their concerns, but we have to understand that this has a clear historical context, because impeachment even for CEC, that is Chief Election Commissioner, has never happened. There has been no successful impeachment. The motion might have been raised, the conversation might have been there, but no successful impeachment. It was only twice that this conversation had been brought in. First for TN Seshan in the 1990s, because there was a lot of political friction. His strong reforms that he brought for election commission were questioned, but the impeachment efforts clearly failed. Then we had Navin Chawla in 2009. There were allegations of bias, and president was the one who rejected the recommendation for removal. So both of these attempts were unsuccessful attempts, and another unsuccessful attempt seems to be queued up in coming times. Now that was all from my side. Thank you so much.